Hey guys. Oh, no.
We planned this so well.
Oh, it was your week. That's right.
It was. Thanks for remembering. Anyways, hello everybody, and welcome to the University of Queensland's presentation of the Queensland High School League of Legends Champion Series, brought to you by Lenovo as well. So a shout out to them, but more on that in a bit. Today is a very special day because we have the top two teams in our ladder going at it. There are only two remaining teams that are undefeated, but at the end of the day, there will be just one. I am, of course, one Max Formal Von Neumann, aka Formal Casting, joined by Mitchell Replays Anderson, and we have a special guest today, one Andy Murray, a teacher from one of the schools, and I'm sure he's going to love to explain to everyone. So, going down the board, how are we all doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm keen to get ready for the cast. An earlier start time today, which is fantastic. And excited to bring our new sponsor as well today. First sponsored cast.
Doing good.
So, going right into it, Murray, you're Mr. Murray, as I will be calling you right now because I am still a student at heart. First of all, thank you again for coming on and being part of the program and, you know, helping these kids along as well. I noticed before you actually have a proper stream setup. So I imagine way back at the start when this league was coming together, it really wasn't, I suppose, too hard to convince you, like, yeah, there can be a benefit to this whole esports thing in a high school level because of you're already involved in the scene in a sense.
Yeah. I actually met Neil at Comic-Con. Just ran into you guys doing their thing at Comic-Con and just was like, I really want to get into esports with our school. Really wanted to get the kids to be able to interact and interact with each other on a platform that, you know, we're all growing up playing video games, right? And like, it's a legitimate competition that they can participate in.
Yep. I mean,
yeah.
There we are. Okay, we're back. Obviously, remote broadcast, we might be getting a little technical hiccups every now and then, as internet in Queensland can be what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously great to see different schools coming and competing in events like this. And obviously, last year was a big success. So coming into this year was a big success as well. And then speaking of success, your Mansfield Minotaurs, undefeated so far, arguably the best team. We're going to find out where they actually sit at the end of the day. Are you surprised with their performance? Was this expected? How are you sitting, you know, on top of like being a teacher for an undefeated team?
It's pretty great. I've never had that before. So this is a wonderful, wonderful thing for me. You know, I just want to say, like, in this time that we're in at the moment, what with COVID-19 and stuff, being able to continue to compete in an arena like this is really good. So, you know, we've got a little bit of a one-up on all the other different sports that are out there. But my school is known for being competitive, for wanting to excel in things. And I think that these kids and these teams are, you know, just embracing that excellence. It's amazing, honestly. Love it.
I mean, and getting into a little bit more about these teams, of course, success is something that in even traditional sports requires a lot of practice and stuff like that. So what kind of practice schedules or trainings do you have involved for a sport like esports rather than, you know, traditional inter-school sports where you have like Thursday afternoon training and stuff like that?
Look, I'm extremely lucky in this group. They are all very, very competent League of Legends players from the get-go. I've had a lot of support from the students to try and get this up and running because I know nothing about League of Legends. There's lanes and bots and jungling involved. I know nothing. These kids are doing this all themselves, basically. I'm there to facilitate us being able to do this, but man, their knowledge of this game is just, it's incredible. I'm blown away every time I watch them play it.
That actually kind of then leads into my next question, I suppose, because one thing that we saw out of the Mansfield Minotaurs when we had them on stream before was their macro play, their map play, which a lot of times is equated to the deeper understanding of the game, sometimes even involving coaching as well. And I was curious, is there like a dedicated coach and that sort of practice infrastructure being installed within this team? If not, is it something that you could see happening in the future as these esports programs develop? Or Is it just been sort of, these kids know the game, they're comfortable, this is just pure instinct right now?
I wouldn't say that it's going off with just instinct, but what I will say is that when I initially put out my, expression of interest to the kids to say, we might be able to do esports, we might be able to play League of Legends, we got 400-ish responses the first time round, so we got quite a big pool of kids that we can actually to pull from there. So a group of students went through everybody's ranks and that sort of thing and picked out, the best of the best, basically. We have a feeder team now. We've got 6 teams playing in an intra-school competition so that we can prepare students going into next year when this competition's on again. We've got a whole new group of students that we can push through. So I'm embracing this idea of the independence of the students to be able to run this by themselves. It's awesome. Their organization it's better than mine for most things, I'll be honest.
That's actually great to hear, because I've always been, I suppose, a proponent of this idea, specifically with esports as it's still developing within Australia, that what you put into it is what you get out from it. And to hear that it's the students who are putting in this effort, and then we're also seeing those same results and where they're sitting at the ladder right now, currently atop, probably a favorite for this tournament. We can see those results coming out as well. So to hear that they are putting that time, effort, and dedication and being rewarded for it is actually a really exciting concept.
Yeah, it turns out it's easy to get kids to play video.
We knew, right?
I'm not sure that carries over for kids as well. Once you start playing, it is very easy to get hooked. And that brings me to my next question, which would be, how do you combat sometimes the addictive nature of the game? Because obviously balance is important. And from the school, it sometimes would fall on you or perhaps parents as well to help ensure that that balance stays in place. Is that something that you value and try and teach the kids as well?
I think at Mansfield, we have our student development program, and we tackle a lot of these ideas within that program. So I feel like with a school like ours, which is one-to-one computer program, so everybody has a laptop, we're trying to develop those sorts of skills and good habits on a day-to-day basis. So we've got these kids that are excelling in the game, and we've got these kids who are excelling academically as well. So happy with the way things are going at the moment. Everything seems to be pretty good.
Well, I suppose another question about you, especially, obviously yourself being the leader for getting these kids involved in this esports program. Obviously, you have an interest in games. What kind of games did you like growing up as a kid or enjoy now?
Oh man, growing up as a kid, I started with text-based RPGs. So typing in walk north, walk south. So I've been playing games for a long time. I also am really, really huge into role-playing games like dice and character sheets and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So gaming makes up a huge amount of my time, really, and that's been my entire life. It's been like that.
It just happened I pick up dice right when you said dice. I had my 2 D20s in hand. That was actually kind of funny, but on that note, though, I suppose moving forward, though, right now, this matchup against MacGregor, obviously that other undefeated school, I'm sort of curious. Do you have any sort of, it could be friendly words, maybe a little competitive words. What do you have to say about your team and towards the other team? Like any sort of final statements before we get ever closer to this match? That's upcoming.
There's going to be another team involved. I'm only looking at our
team. True. Like to hear it. Well, on that note, Mr. Murray, a.k.a. Andy Murray, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on and sort of explaining the perspective of where the Mansfield Minotaurs are coming from. Obviously, wishing you and your school the best of luck moving forward in this tournament. Obviously, a very big game, a chance to be that last undefeated team. So on that note, I suppose last question. Assuming you guys win, because you got to hope for the best, I suppose, and sometimes prepare for the best, what will be the victory celebration if you can pull this one off today?
I'm thinking for the kids, the victory celebration will probably be more League of Legends, because that's what I do. For myself, it's going to be some Animal Crossing and a nice cup of tea.
Animal Crossing. There you. I can respect that Animal Crossing pick right now. I just finished my clothes store. Just had that built up on my own island and had a little peruse. There was a duck outfit I might have to save up for, but that is Animal Crossing, not League of Legends. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. But with only 5 minutes to go before our matchup, I think it's time for Mitch and I to start to break things down. So if we're going to get to it, I'd like to thank you one more time for joining us. And Mitch, it's time. Let's take a look at these teams in a bit more detail, starting with one MacGregor MCG on the blue side. On that blue side, so should be
exactly. On our blue side today, we have MacGregor. Up in the top side, we have Mabøroshi. In the jungle, we have YeDieJiuWo. In mid lane, Yisus OCE. In AD carry, we have AD carry only. And in the support, we have Doobie 10.
Yeah, and what's interesting is with this MacGregor MCG side right now, just looking at the lineup, I'm seeing that red background color, so I think there might have been a bit of a color swap on us before we go on here. I'm not sure. So there might be red side. We'll get that confirmed very, very shortly, I'm sure. But the blue side, as you can see right here, that is one Mansfield with Kipkangaroo up in the top lane, MajorDave in the jungle, Arventus in the mid lane, the BlazingSpirit on AD carry, and LilTaco on support. Now, hinted at this before during the interview, Mansfield coming into this game, again, both these teams undefeated, but they each won in very different styles. Mansfield, I felt, and I'm assuming you agree with me because we did agree before. If you change your mind, I'm coming for you. They were the more macro-oriented team. They played the map,
definitely
suffocated their opponent. They definitely played what I'd call a more intelligent game, whereas MacGregor, they just out-microed. It was win lane, win game. They dominated their opponents. They had some unconventional picks that they made work. And they won based on their individual skill, which just straight up overpowered. And that's not to say one style of play is better than the other. It's just when two evenly matched teams, sometimes I go with the one that tends to be playing the map a bit more.
Look, not going to lie, this game is very much, to me, looks like G2 versus SKT, right? You have the Korean team, which is the slow macro style that, plays that, smart gameplay, getting their small adventures and playing that way, versus the other team, which is the, explosive, we pick whatever we want and we're just going to outman you one-on-one. The other thing I would have to say, though, is Mansfield definitely looked like the best team we've ever seen play so far, because when it comes to high school games and when you're not playing at the highest level, which these players aren't, it's all about having the right basics, right? And having that macro knowledge is your basic kind of first look at the understanding of the game. But the only problem is when you get into these situations where you're playing against like Malphite mid or these wacky Kindred jungle where champions that you don't have a linear playstyle that you can't be prepared for, if you don't actually have those fundamentals and basics down, then it's hard to play that fluent macro game, because macro is something to me that I don't find, it's not a difficult thing to learn. It just requires diligence, and it's about you going, I could flash for the kill here, but it's actually better to hold my flash. I don't need to kill these players and rotate to Baron instead.
Yeah, I mean, I for the most part agree with you, but I'm actually going to go back to your analogy, though, as sort of that counterpoint. You said Mansfield was probably more the SKT, MacGregor was more the G2. When they played at World Semifinals last year, it was G2 that won that matchup, and sometimes those individual plays players can step up and overpower, and that's something MacGregor has done. So I'm definitely not in the position of wanting to write them off just yet. In particular, the jungle play from YeDieJiuWo in that game, he stepped up huge, and he was when I was kind of wondering, like, will he be able to have that mid synergy? Will he be able to keep up? And he just sort of dominated that matchup. He was everywhere, and he, like, even though was not necessarily the highest ranked solo kill player on the team, he was playing like that highly ranked solo queue player and was really one to watch out for. So I do feel like MacGregor cannot be overlooked, and especially in this matchup where, again, the stakes are higher, so the two undefeated teams, they might be coming at this one perhaps with a different. Okay, so
never mind, I pressed mute on my mic. There we go. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it's one of those things where, although you say, G2 won at Worlds and it's those wacky picks, the difference is, in your pro team, right, you still have those basics in check, right? And it's about, do MacGregor actually have decent basics? And are they still able to push their advantages, right? Because I saw they had, when they played against Hillbrook, they got out to those commanding leads in the early game, and they were able to, find picks and find these team fights, but they weren't executing on what comp they've kind of drafted. They had this Kog'Maw, Lulu, Malphite, Kindred pick, which is like a front to back team fight kind of comp where you're protecting your Kog'Maw and you're letting it kill everybody else, right? But yet they were still splitting and they were doing other things. They weren't finding these engage options. They were saving the Malphite art to burst in and kill the carries rather than to engage the fight, because obviously you just wanted to find that glory player, right? So it's one of those things where it's very difficult, and depending on what these teams draft for themselves and what roles they actually go into, because there's a lot of different, especially on the MacGregor side, a lot of these players are playing off role. Like YeDieJiuWo is a Fiora one trick, basically, only plays Fiora. Yeah, just playing in the jungle. So it's obviously something, if you ban out the certain champions, and they'll be, obviously sticking in those roles, and we'll have to see exactly what happens once we jump into pick ban.
You know who I think won't be swapping roles? I'm just going to take a bold prediction on this one.
Who's this?
AD carry only. I think he might be playing AD carry. I don't know. I just have this hunch.
50-50, we don't know.
50-50, yeah, you never know. That said, we are moving into picks and bans right away. Once again, on the blue side, that is Mansfield. On the red side, it is MacGregor, and we are starting things off with the Aphelios ban.
Interesting to see meta ban coming straight up, especially the Aphelios too. These aren't necessarily champions that you see played by Mansfield, or by AD carry only. He's been playing more like Kai'Sa, like these kind of traditional AD carries. Doesn't really play Aphelios, but very strong pick overall, one of the strongest in the meta. MF, Olaf, also quite strong picks, and Cassio's interesting ban coming from the blue side.
Yeah, I mean, these are very meta bans actually being taken away from both these teams right now, which kind of tells me both of them are trying to push within that level of being, maybe the best in the solo queue style, to actually going, no, this is a tough league. This is the upper end of said tough league. We need to get rid of actual champions that can be played in the meta that these players are most likely comfortable with. The Maokai is the first ban that's a bit out there. Echo as well. Probably not the most conventional picks, but each still strong, each sort of fringe meta. So to see them go away, that does make sense. And the Fiora pick being taken for Mansfield, kind of one of those, we're going to take this away from YeDieJiuWo.
I mean, YeDieJiuWo is the jungler, of course, right? But it looks like Kog'Maw, they're going to run it back here from AD carry only and Dubious. So AD carry only, a bit of a Uzi cosplay maybe. I mean, Kog'Maw is what won the LEC, right? That's what Caps destroyed on. So interesting to see them go for that. I mean, it's obviously decent, right? But it's not that same really strong carry. But obviously, see exactly what they pick into Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is one of those things where you have to kind of shut it down early. So you want to have a really high tempo bot lane. And Xayah, if they do go for that, is one of those lanes that can really shut that down. Interesting to see what they opt for their third pick here, right? Because Fiora first pick's a very bold pick. It's very much saying like, we're going to take this duel from the top side, even though there are so many counters to Fiora. And Fiora isn't a champion that's really strong at all. It's very easy to counter, and it's not one that's super lane dominant or anything like that. As we do it for the lock-in, it's going to be J4. So they won't actually be picking up a Rakan, which is a very interesting identity that they're kind of going for, as Kindred's locked in there in the jungle for YeDieJiuWo. So it looks like they're running back their comp from the first time we saw MacGregor play.
Yeah, it is looking like a bit of a run back on the MacGregor side, and if nothing else, they are comfortable on these champions. Going back to that Fiora pick, what I find super interesting about it is I do see that kind of as a statement like, look, we're going to try and get this Fiora ahead. We're going to be trying to play through the top side. And the immediate response was to go for a Kog'Maw Lulu, which is on a bit more of that scaling side, and typically not that reaction you'd want. I would have liked to see a more aggressive bot lane actually take it in from the MacGregor side to sort of counteract that Fiora, to say like, okay, look, you can play heavy top side, but as a result, you might lose bot hard. Instead, bot might stagnate a bit, and that's where I'm a little bit worried for MacGregor. However, as we saw with both these teams, though, what was actually taking the picks and bans didn't matter, just because each of these teams did have super strong laning phases, in some instances when it was perhaps a losing lane, where that didn't really work out. And when you look at the Mansfield lineup, the bot lane is actually the question mark for me. I think the bot lane for Mansfield can get abused. So even though Kog'Maw Lulu is typically seen as more of a scaling lane, they still might be able to accelerate at the same pace that a Fiora would be.
Yeah, I mean, a Kog Lulu does actually do decent in lane, right? Lulu is actually a really strong laner with her poke from Middlelands. And Kog'Maw is, Kog Lulu is one of the best bot lanes at the moment. It was only really discovered by G2 again, by picking it up again. It looks like a Malphite mid.
We're doing it again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Malphite will once again locked in. Technically a flex at this stage, but we've saw it run mid before. On the other side, the Orianna will be for Arventus. So you have
Rakan,
that bold
right?
delivery system.
Rakan.
Yeah, I mean, it's
okay, they do. I was gonna say, like, if they didn't ban Rakan, like, you got a Xayah Rakan is very good lane. It's a very interesting comp draft to over the blue side, assuming they are looking in Rakan, because they've got a very good team fight comp, and they've got this random Fiora that's just like, okay, never mind, they're going for Taric. All right, interesting.
I like the Taric pick.
Taric gives them scaling, right? It gives them the ability to fight late versus Kog'Maw, but it's a very odd combo. So there's going to be a Akali top, I think. I'm assuming Malphite's going to go to the same player, but obviously we'll have to see exactly where everyone lands up, or it might be Malphite top, because I'm pretty sure Fiora is good into Malphite top, isn't it? Yeah. Fiora's good into Malphite, yeah.
Yeah, so we're seeing the swap back around, but we'll have to wait and see where the players go in this lane in and of itself. Mabøroshi could easily take that Akali mid lane. Yisus could take the Malphite top. So where they decide to go with these laners is going to be very critical. I would like to see the Akali go top. I think the Akali can match the Fiora a bit more than that Malphite can. Yes, the Malphite can stack armor, but early game he would probably get bullied a fair bit by Kipkangaroo. Meanwhile, an Akali can challenge Orianna versus Malphite in the mid lane. Malphite might get bullied, but it'll be a bit easier of that early game matchup. Plus, if he is later, with some help from YeDieJiuWo, able to shove that mid lane in, he has that option to either roam top or bot, and you can sort of three-man either of those situations. So I do like the Malphite mid in this instance. However, we're looking at complete teams. I actually really like what Mansfield has. I'm a bit more positive on this Fiora than you are. I can tell already.
It's more just Fiora just doesn't fit the comp identity, right? If you're talking about one of the best ways to analyze comps is what LS does, right? And he goes does a Magic of the Gathering thing where you have like different color cards, right? So red card means aggressive, blue card means utility, whatever, right? And you can see they've got three or four blue champs, like team fighting utility champs. So J4, Orianna, Xayah. I would have liked to see Rakan with Taric, but Taric's the same kind of champ, just slightly less engaged. But you've got to engage on J4 Orianna, so you don't need another form of engage, and it's probably more defensive support. But either way, they've got four of these same kind of champions, and then Fiora is this like white-black card, right? So it's a champion that is all about split push, all about denying different ones, denying certain scaling side lane pick. It's not about fighting these team fights and having a big impact, while the side of the other side have done exactly the same kind of thing in their comp identity, and they've got this random top laner that Akali doesn't really fit. Akali fits a team fight a little bit better than a Fiora, but doesn't really fit this protect the carry comp. They've got Malphite frontline, Kog, Kindred backline, Lulu as well to protect Kog, Kindred ult to keep Kog alive, and yet this Akali just doesn't make sense, right? Last time we saw him play, there was Aatrox, which is another fantastic team fighting bruiser, right? But Akali, again, is just one of those champions who I hate seeing Akali in my game, because I haven't seen Akali. I mean, Akali's not strong in Chal either at the moment anyway. She's not a good champion. But the amount of lower elo players I find playing Akali and just hard feed, especially in top lane, where taking mid lane as top requires a really deep understanding of wave control and wave manipulation and how to play the game. And not that I doubt Mabøroshi has that knowledge, but he's only a gold 2 player, which means he doesn't have that really in-depth understanding of how the lane works in particular. And I'm pretty sure he's a mid-main anyways. He doesn't actually play top.
Yeah, that said, though, as we are moving forward in this one, the other things that I would like to bring up, though, again, going back, I'm gonna run it back a little bit, because you kind of went into one of my wheelhouses, unfortunately, and I think you did so unintentionally. But the Magic, the Gathering, those cards I have like all over my desk. In fact, look at there's that blue mana right there. I agree with you on that thing. When you build a deck, you look for the deck synergies, right? And sometimes colors do work out together. But there's this tricky thing called splashing colors, where you just add that little bit of an X factor, something that your opponent might not expect. And I kind of feel like the Fiora is going to hit that role. Because while, yes, you have a great team fight put together on this Mansfield side, you can force better team fight situations with better sideline pressure and being able to push that advantage. And that is something that Fiora on this Kipkangaroo can do. Similarly, you have a very safe mid laner, a very safe bot laner. So MajorDave on this Jarvan can really accentuate and kind of force that top side and push it further ahead. Granted, they might lose early dragon control as a result. I think this bot lane skill matchup wise, again, I like the MacGregor, I like the Kog'Maw in this instance, and I do feel YeDieJiuWo will be smart and will be looking to sort of counterplay the bot side as a result. And getting later into this, I'm worried, because if the red side does get too many advantages sort of given to them, then they might start to snowball and run away with this game. It's going to be a close one. I definitely feel it's one that can go either way. But before we get too far into it, once again, I would love to do a quick shout out to Lenovo, who is our sponsor for this one. They've jumped in. They're helping us out a lot. And If you don't know who Lenovo is or what they do, they are a gaming brand designed for both like work and play. So, you know, for those of us who are working out there, sometimes we need some, you know, help, but to rely on the same brand for our gaming as well, everything one brand, that sounds pretty sweet to me. They always go for their minimalist designs, which again, I go for. As you can see, I only like one little logo on my shirt. It's just what you like. And, you know, being aware that esports, specifically high school esports, is that exciting place, something that is growing. They're also out there to try to provide more options for students, help build that esports career if that is something that they want to go and improve upon and explore as they develop their young minds. They want smarter technology. They want to provide the best help. They want essentially the next generation of esports. You high school students out there, well, they want to be there by your side with Legion as well. So definitely check out Lenovo when you get the chance. And a huge thank you to them for helping us put together this tournament.
Yeah, exactly right. Lenovo Legion, especially the gaming operate of Lenovo, have fantastic products, and it's fantastic they're supporting this good opportunity, getting these students more involved into esports, and you know, providing funding for us as well to be able to do our thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, though, we're still loading into this game. We will be in momentarily. At this stage right now, I would ask, you know, Twitch chat, hey, how you feeling? Do you like Mansfield? Do you like MacGregor? But I'm kind of seeing we're on emote only, so we have to do an emote for one school and a different emote for the other. What are you thinking? Who should get what emote right now?
Well, we get obviously Pog goes to Mansfield, and we'll do Bubble Thump for MacGregor.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds good right there. So let's go ahead and throw that down. I want to see those emotes come in. Show your support any way you can. I'm seeing a lot of Pogs right away coming through. Some Cray as well, and the love hearts. All right, everything's just everywhere. And here comes the oh boy. Yeah, all right, so we're just going to go ahead and focus more on the game than the emotes right now.
First of all, skins wins games. Who has better skins?
True. I mean, oof. That's a tough one right now. So especially because we've already are starting to load into the game, and I can't see all the skins. Darkstar Jarvan, that's the skin I use, so I'm going to go with that.
See, I went IG Fiora goes hard.
I mean, true. You got to rep, you know, world champions that you support. That said, however, we are about to kick ourselves underway. We are on the Rift. Here we go. It's the battle to see who will be the current top of the ladder here in Queensland. In 3, 2, 1, go. Onto the Rift we are. Yahar. Pirate impression.
Yahar.
Pirate impression. I gotta do it.
Fair enough. I mean, it's interesting to see exactly what these two teams are going to go for straight away. Both of them obviously have very much interesting strategies and interesting level 1 comps. I think level 1, obviously, blue side wins super hard and could be catching it.
Yeah, I think they're aware of that. Yisus OCE, he's AFK. He's not looking. He let the team walk right into him, tries to burn flash to escape, but he's not going to get out of this one. And first blood will go to Arventus.
There you go. That's a huge thing. I think Akali's in the mid lane too, so it looks like Yisus is playing up in that top side, which means it's going to be Akali into Ori, which is a very favored Orianna matchup. However, at this level, you don't know how good the Ori is if she can really keep this Akali away from herself. And we'll have to see exactly how this matchup goes, but I'm definitely in favor of Mansfield now, especially with that first blood. Ori's got to back on a Dark Seal as well. She's going to have extra healing out of her pots and maybe start stacking it up too. I would have rather seen double Lorans out of an Orianna, but each player prefers their own different style, and the barrier as well is going to make it very hard for Akali to shut her down. But both sides, obviously, I think the biggest area we're going to look towards this mid game is this bot lane, right? If this Kog'Maw really gets off the ground, it's going to be very difficult for them to shut him down, because although they have a lot of dive and a lot of ways to get access to this Kog, having that Kindred in that backline to keep him alive is going to make these team fights very hard to execute for Mansfield, you know, with the Jarvan Orianna combo coming in the backline, right? You can just pop a Kindred ulti down, and then there's no way you can pop down the Kog'Maw. He's got a life steal with his Blade of the Ruin King and his Ginso, so he can just reset, kite back, get a Lulu ultimate on him, and DPS while sort of not dying, right? It's kind of why Taric Kog is pretty decent too, and I guess maybe why they've almost picked that Taric as well, because they can counter the invulnerability given by the Kindred and actually give themselves an opportunity to take down AD carry only.
At the same time, though, getting to that team fight might be a little bit difficult, I feel, for MacGregor moving forward, and I'm really worried about Yisus after that first blood. He's also missed some experience as he was a little late getting to the lane, going ahead and helping Leash as well, so he's flashed down behind in experience. You can see Kipkangaroo already starting to sort of shove that lane in, and until that flash is off cooldown, that kill potential is going to be there from the Fiora, and I'm curious to see how MajorDave plays around it, if we're going to see more pressure put on that top side. Down below as well, BlazingSpirit already getting a lot of poke down onto AD carry only. Now, I did say I did like the spot lane in the early phase, but a lot of that had to do with the fact of sort of this perceived skill differential between these two. But with everyone getting assists, so there's a little bit of experience there. I'm not surprised to see Mansfield starting to try and push it, try to keep their level advantages. And on the back foot, MacGregor, not a position they're used to being in.
Another thing I'd like to point out too is Yisus, I think, is going to go for AP Malphite once again, which I think is, I mean, I don't know, right, but going Arcane Comet indicates that he has potential to.
Oh my gosh.
That
was a big trade. Yeah, that was a big trade for Yisus right there, actually. He does force the pot out of Kipkangaroo.
It's because Kip was tanking minions in that trade. Well, here we go. He's going to trade it back and win this trade.
Yeah, but YeDieJiuWo is on his way. The question is, will the Kindred get there in time? Kipkangaroo will get the flash, get the kill, and a solo kill for Kipkangaroo. Again, Yisus did not have that flash to escape. However, Kindred has arrived. You can see the assist me pings coming down, but buddy, look at the map. Your jungle's on the other side. However, YeDieJiuWo, perhaps not aware of where MajorDave is, actually backs off.
When I had that ward on the Kindred, and they were kind of playing oopsie daisies around the brush there, but I think Kindred should have just walked up behind and would have been able to get rid of the Fiora. But regardless, we see a bit of a trade in the mid lane.
Yeah, Mabøroshi going very, very deep after Arventus. Not going to find too much damage right there. However, this Fiora starting to accelerate the top lane right now. 2 deaths already for Yisus OCE. Flash still not up now. Teleport down as well. Teleport still available for Kipkangaroo, and the way how this bot lane's going, pretty even. That teleport could be used to establish early dragon pressure for the side of.
Yeah, exactly right. Especially because they have this bot lane going in their favor, which is what you expect when you have a Xayah Taric. Xayah is someone who gets a very good poke down, especially on Kog'Maw before Lulu can get her. Oh, flash coming out of Orianna in the middle lane there.
Yeah, Arventus a little.
Nothing to come of it just yet.
I also like how
premature flash, I think, but it's alright.
Yeah, it was a little bit premature. However, you know, better safe than sorry, I suppose. When you have a barrier, though, that's a shorter cooldown. You typically like to see that get used before the flash in situations such as that. However, I do appreciate Yisus going still full aggression despite being down 2 kills. However, MajorDave is here, and Kipkangaroo is going to go ahead and start the engage. Flag and Drag does not get the knockup, but just enough damage to keep Yisus on the back foot. Kipkangaroo should be able to run away. Those minions are going to do a lot of damage, and they wind up trading 1 for 1. Meanwhile, down below, a bit of a trade happening as well. A lot of heals being used from LilTaco, but no one will die in that instance.
Yeah, a big wave there. Obviously, going to be trading the difference in that. And Kipkangaroo hadn't actually gone back yet since getting that kill onto Yisus. Oh, here we go.
That's a big stun right there. BlazingSpirit going to push forward. A couple more autos might do it, but the damage coming back from Doobie, as well as AD carry only, does keep BlazingSpirit back. No mana to recall the feathers as well, means that they have to be very cautious in this situation.
There's almost a dead AD carry only there, and you see, oh, here we go, level 6 in the mid lane for Akali.
Yeah, level 6, going for that all-in under the tower, but the barrier's going to come in play with the Ignite. Should be able to turn it around, and with help from the tower, it's a 1 for 1.
Yeah, exactly. Going down there, getting that Akali ultimate off, and that's a bit of a misplay there by the Orianna, not saving her mana correctly. And obviously, level 6 as well, going over to Akali first off. After getting first blood, it's not good. We see another trade here by Fiora.
Yeah, Kipkangaroo is going to try and drag the fight into the bush to get rid of that minion aggro that actually punished Kipkangaroo before. And you can see Yisus, he's in trouble trying to back away. Level 6 now available for Kipkangaroo. Yisus not quite there yet, so has to be super cautious. However, if that unstoppable force is enabled, that fight can go Malphite's way. Yisus, he's playing a dangerous game right now. You can see that Arcane Comet actually doing a lot of work, but the wave will push in to Yisus, although Kipkangaroo is quite low.
And that Doran shield helps him heal up quite significantly. You see a bit of poke coming down in the mid lane, but nothing as of yet. And this Orianna, oh, here we go.
What a parry from Kipkangaroo, and will stop the grand challenge. Yisus trying to run away, but he can only run towards the tower. That's not the safest place to go. He will get cut down, and Kipkangaroo, great play.
And Kipkangaroo here should actually look to back. He doesn't have any knowledge of where YeDieJiuWo, obviously he's shown now, so he can step up, but walking straight up to that lane without having a look was very risky, but you're going to deny a huge wave of minions here from Malphite. No TP either, so this Fiora's going to have a huge lane in this top lead end, on the top side end for the rest of the side lane lead when we jump into the mid game. So promising signs here for Mansfield. They're going to have this side lane advantage, and one of the ways you want to actually protect the carry comps is through playing through side lanes and forcing their comp to have to break up because they're better as a 5-man unit. The one thing that they do actually have in order to counter that here from MacGregor, though, is they have the Akali, who is quite good in the side lanes, but versus a Fiora, I don't think Akali has a sustained enough burst to take down this bruisery Fiora, and I think Fiora should be able to come back. So I think that side lane is going to be one to have to watch, considering the solo lane in the mid is going up in favor of one and top the other.
That was a great shockwave right there by Arventus. Unfortunately for him, YeDieJiuWo is here and will help pick up that kill, or will the Arventus making a run for it? The last auto will come through, however, so good play, but not quite good enough to win a 2v1, and that's a kill very much needed for YeDieJiuWo.
This Orianna in the middle lane is supposed to be that safe champion that never dies. Is not turned out to be that when Arventus is pardoning this one down. 2 kills already, and this Akali that I kind of bashed on in pick ban is getting slowly ahead. Already completed that Hextech Revolver, and the Hextech Gunblade, the completion for Akali is probably one of the biggest one-item power spikes in the game. One of the champions that relies on getting that first item probably the most heavily out of any other champ. And I think there's another champ that requires an item more maybe than Katarina with that Hextech Gunblade as well.
Oh, that's a cheeky little player right there. Flash over the wall. MajorDave actually steals the dragon back. So going to go ahead and drop the Cataclysm on YeDieJiuWo, who can jump over the wall. Meanwhile, bot lanes, they're joining the fight. LilTaco drops the ultimate and flashes forward to make sure everyone is hit by it. That's a flash over the wall from Dubai, leaving poor AD carry on his own. He'll also have to flash over to the in order to escape this one. But interesting skirmish. Mansfield seems to come out on top.
Yeah, big play there overall by Mansfield. See another trade on the top side, but Malphite coming out of that one heavily with the bone plating. Ultimate.
That is a very early ultimate out of Kipkangaroo. Has already dropped the parry as well, but is able to hit all the pressure points. Flashes forward, gets the flash. Yisus able to survive, although he has to be careful of a dive right here. There is no jungle help heading his way. Kipkangaroo will go for the dive. Does not have the damage, and the tower will take him down. A bit of a miscalculation for Mansfield.
Bit of an overexcited play there by Mansfield, not playing the odds, not playing that smart macro kind of
cerebral level play that we saw them play the first time they're out in the Rift, and goes down and trades away a huge shutdown and a huge lane advantage over to Yisus OCE.
Yeah, that's one that Yisus desperately needed as well. A little bit of a momentum boost for him. That said, he is still going to be about 500 gold behind in that lane moving forward. So it's not as if Kipkangaroo can, back off because he's fallen behind. I still expect to see more aggression coming out of really both these top laners based on how they have played. Something I've noticed really throughout MacGregor, it doesn't matter the state of the game. It seems they're always going to look for fights. They're always going to look to challenge, and they're starting to actually come back as a result.
Yeah, exactly right. They did go down early and they are behind in kills, but still only 1,000 gold behind. That Ocean Drake as well was a big trade over to the other side. And Cloud Drake coming up next means we'll get a very exciting solo. You see a gank in the mid lane.
Yeah, more pressure put on this Orianna, but you don't want to go under the tower. Mabøroshi, keep track of your ultimate timers because that shockwave unfortunately stopped that play dead in his tracks.
And that's more of the Akali play I was looking at to see. That's what I've been seeing. So I've just been traumatized by Akali and solo queue. I've got on my team like 4 times in a row, and every time there's like cost me games. So I'm quite tilted at that champion at the moment. That's why it seems a bit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Your personal vendetta against that champion. I mean, look. All I'm going to say is I ban Akali, I'd say, in 80% of my game. So I'm kind of in agreement on that one. However, Rift Herald will get picked up by the Mansfield side, and that will be given over most likely to one MajorDave. I don't expect to see a challenge coming through, as unfortunately for MacGregor, not able to get there in time. So the second major objective will go Mansfield's way to go with that Ocean Drake, and a 2v1 fight. BlazingSpirit really starting to feel himself, does not have the damage for the kill, now has to run away, does not escape the ultimates coming from 180 carry only, and interesting 2v1.
Yeah, I mean, got a very excited, chunked the what's it called, the Lulu all the way down, and chose to use the heal instead. If she used ult and just kited backwards, she would have been fine, but instead used that heal there. The polymorph from Lulu doing so much work in this matchup.
Yeah, polymorph was very critical in that situation, and again, 80 carry only hitting with the living artillery just to help secure that kill. Kipkangaroo, this trade not looking so good, is going to go ahead and drop that challenge onto Yisus. Learned his lesson from last time, though, or did he? He's still going under the tower, gets the parry, but the damage isn't there. Kipkangaroo's got to back away from this one because YeDieJiuWo is on his way and is looking to flank around. Will be spotted on the board right now, but it could be too little too late. YeDieJiuWo can jump forward. Wolf has been dropped. The damage is there, or is it under the tower we go? YeDieJiuWo still had Lamb's Respite, so that will be a kill going to the MacGregor side.
Yeah, Kipkangaroo's in playing a very interesting top side. He had his lead and he's just keep trying to push this advantage and play super aggressive, and he's kind of just throwing game. Like, it was kind of game over for MacGregor, and it was the one game overall with that Fiora on the side lane, but you just see they just keep going for these aggressive trades and they're winning the lane and they're just eventually trading it back. Again, Akali, they're just literally inting in mid lane.
Yeah, Mabøroshi just a little bit too far deep in that one. As something that I'm like very concerned about in this game is just the fact that, yes, we're seeing Mansfield come into this. They got that early top lane lead, but instead of seeming to accelerate, MajorDave has actually been focusing more on farming, more on perhaps accelerating the bot lane and the mid lane, but we haven't seen that effect too much on those lanes. Those lanes still feeling relatively even. Yes, Mabøroshi has been diving a few times and kind of giving kills over to the Orianna, but it hasn't been a case of MajorDave really helping out. So I want to see more impact from this J4, believe it or not. Yeah, he's 1-0-1. He is going that tank build, so we'll see him more later in this game. But I feel like, as you mentioned before, Mansfield, they put themselves in such a great position. They did not accelerate it quite to that same extent that we saw them last time on stream.
Well, they're just playing very aggressive in these lanes. Like, both MacGregor, obviously, that's hyper-aggressive team, and like, especially this top lane, I've been kind of disappointed with Kipkangaroo and exactly what he's doing up here. He had a big lead, but he's just been throwing away with silly couch. He's not looking at Malphite's items, obviously. Like, you can see, he's going to do no damage because he's got the 4 males plus the ninja tab, right? Like, Fiora's damage is null, and you can see he's just holding and doing nothing. Yet he's still trying to go for these aggressive trades, and he's just losing out.
Well, once again, we see those focal points there. Nice dodge of the Unstoppable Force. Just has to get one more point, but won't quite get it. And Yisus will go ahead and pick up that solo kill. The Bramble Vest, as well as the Balmy Cinder, doing so much work. And this top lane advantage for the Fiora, it's safe to say, may be gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Fiora is not a good pick, right? Pick on. One's the same champion, does the same damage, but like more utility. But yeah, unfortunately, up in this top side, they had a humongous lead here for Kipkangaroo, but he's pretty much just thrown that away now. Can't even 1v1 this Malphite, and is going to look to be, you know, one of the focal points where MacGregor can start working a lead back.
Yeah, that might be the case as well, because as all this has been going on, YeDieJiuWo has been happily farming, scaling up, and 80 carry only, by far the most CS in this game, has just been farming along, chugging along, getting ever closer to that Blade of the Ruined King. Granted, it's usually 3-item Kog'Maw where that starts to take off, but has been getting there pretty unabated. That said, Flash was just used, so he's going to have to play a little safer for now, especially with the Cloud Drake being started up. I'm not sure MacGregor really wants to contest this. They're still looking for a possible opening. The LilTaco is going to go ahead and zone people off. Did get the stun on YeDieJiuWo. Meanwhile, up top, a little bit of a challenge as well. Mabøroshi was looking at the flank, but is not going to be able to find it, and the rest of Mansfield back away.
It's a good soul as well for both these sides. Inferno still coming up. Obviously, Mansfield opted into that, right, we're going to ignore... So, I mean, MacGregor's going to opt into that. We'll ignore playing for Dragons early on, which they can't really, right? They got this comp that does scale up later, and it is important that Mansfield really need to push and get this soul. I think this next Dragon is going to be a big point where we're going to see which team's actually better, which team's ahead, and which team can win these team fights early on, and which team's going to have tempo throughout the mid-game. So we see, again, Kipkangaroo inting in the top side there, going for trades onto a champion with full armor. So very hard to actually win those trades. Needs to just farm and pick battles somewhere else. But yeah, against this Drake, right, once you get to 3 Drakes, when you have soul point, is what it's been referred to, means you just have so much power and tempo because the enemy team has to contest that soul, because once you give up soul, it's pretty much a game over. Right? It's very hard to lose a game with a soul. Soul, to me, is more something that's like an anti-throw mechanic rather than like a win more mechanic, because it seems to be you only really get a soul when you're in for it or when you're
behind. Here comes an all-in. Unstoppable Force is available. Yisus can't do it. And there is the parry that had to be saved. The Flash is actually used to try and counter. Going back in, Kipkangaroo does not quite turn it around for the kill, but stays alive. YeDieJiuWo, though, is here. Lamb's Respite is available, and it's going to be hard for the Fiora to escape round 2. YeDieJiuWo happy to take a tower shot or two to try and get this tank going. Yisus is that bait. You have to be careful because MajorDave has arrived. Goes for the flag and drag into the Cataclysm. Lamb's Respite is down, but the health bars are so low. Kipkangaroo will cut down Yisus. MajorDave will take YeDieJiuWo with the flag and drag hitting, and that is 2 kills going the way of Mansfield.
And they also, the Orianna roamed up, stopped Mabøroshi from coming to clean up, and Kipkangaroo has been lucky to be bailed out of this by your jungler. You wanted to see the impact from MajorDave, and there's the impact coming to counter gank that cleanup from YeDieJiuWo. Obviously, he's been the jungler with more tempo and been in the more places this game to clean up after these lane 1v1. But MajorDave comes up when he's needed. He's been farming out the early game, and now he's rocked up. He's going to grab the second Rift Herald for his side, which should secure the second towers. The first tower in that bot lane has already gone down, which means they're going to rotate up here and start looking to pressure this map more and more. And this is where you're going to see Mansfield start using their mid-game advantage and mid-game macro to kind of slowly choke MacGregor out of here.
Yeah, that is what you would like to see. Mansfield go back to that playstyle that won them their first game. And they definitely have that advantage, especially with MajorDave and Arventus being positioned how they are. Arventus actually picking up a stopwatch right now, so a little bit of a conservative play right here. That tells me they could be looking at a possible team fight as we have hit our first pause of the day.
Our first pause so far, obviously, going to discuss exactly what that issue is. Probably internet issue or something like that. It's kind of the common occurrence we have, but both these sides now looking, obviously, yeah, there you go. LilTaco is disconnected, so obviously an issue there with the support. But I mean, so far, if we look at this game state, right, we're coming up to the 20-minute mark, which kind of signifies the mid game. Everyone's got their first items completed, looking towards those second items, and it's been a very interesting early game. And it's one of those early games where it's difficult to see exactly who's winning. And who exactly is ahead, but what is your initial assessment of the game set at the moment, Mac?
I mean, I'm looking at a team that's gotten every single neutral objective and a tower as well. Plus, they have that gold lead, about a 3K gold lead. I have to feel like, despite the top lane being kind of thrown back in Yisus' favor, that most recent gank up there did put the advantage back onto Kipkangaroo. So I'm looking at Mansfield right now as the team that's ahead. They've sort of controlled the objective timing. They've had more pressure throughout the map, specifically on the bot side. Yes, AD carry only has been able to farm successfully. I think that's more a credit to that player's individual skill. Again, something I touched on before at picks and bans. Like, he is someone who I think arguably could be the strongest player in this game. And he's still performing that despite being under a lot of pressure. We just haven't had much focus down there because of how much fighting and how many solo plays have been happening up top and in the mid lane. But AD carry only is going to be that saving hope for MacGregor. He's playing very well, but if we're looking at the teams as a whole, I'm still liking what Mansfield is doing a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Mansfield are definitely looking to be very far ahead, right? They are one of the teams that are, looking to push forward and have this macro knowledge of this game, and as a result are able to push the lead and play around with it. And in the early game, I think up on the top side in particular, it kind of got a bit fiesta-y. It got a bit high school League of Legends, let's just say, where both these players kind of got a bit excited and they didn't look at the big game. They started just fighting and 1-1. Kipkangaroo got his lead and went, I can kill everybody now. I'm ahead. I've got my 2 kills, and then wasn't really thinking about exactly what he was doing in this game, and he didn't need to push his objective. It's one of those equal balances you got to find when you're learning to play the game. Is when can I push for the extra kill? When can I look for this? And what is my what is the result of me, flashing for this kill, right? You flash for a kill in the tower, and now, the jungle's here 3 minutes later, and I don't have that flash. Whether, what are you trying to get a kill in lane for, right? Is it 300 gold? No, you want to try to get a kill in lane because you've shoved a huge lane, minion wave into tower, and now he's going to lose, 2.5 waves of the EXP, and I'm going to have a huge lead off that and push into the mid game rather than that 300 gold. So was that flash really worth it? Probably not, right? And it's about thinking about all these things and exactly how it's going to work out. And obviously that's something that comes with growth, and only the best players really do that to that same level. But it's interesting to see exactly how these young players are developing, and I've been actually quite impressed with the Orianna Arventus, right? She had a very rough up to level 6. The first 6-7 levels were very much, she didn't look very confident on the pick, or he didn't know what he was doing exactly, but now he's kind of come back into it. And I think the Akali or Mabøroshi has gotten a little bit excited there and come in a bit, but it's a very even game state right now. And I mean, sorry, not even. Like, Mansfield are ahead 3K, but that 80 carry only, that when we get into these first team fights, when a Malphite can really show up as a proper front line, when the Kindred can keep this Cog alive, and this Cog's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to be a contest of can one team keep this Kog'Maw alive, and can the other team dive onto the Kog'Maw and kill it?
Yeah, I mean, the tools are there to dive onto AD carry only as well, especially if you can successfully execute that ball delivery system. Arventus, to his credit, has been very, very on point with those shockwaves thus far in this game, stopping a lot of Mabøroshi's very aggressive all-in plays in that mid lane. The question is, can we see those same shockwaves be used on the offensive side? Offensive mindset, is that something in their wheelhouse? I believe it is. So definitely going to be a case that MacGregor have to be very cautious of their positioning, in particular watching MajorDave. But on the flip side, as I did say before, I do trust AD carry only. I think he has been playing very, very well, despite, you know, a lot of jungle pressure actually being thrown at him. The fact that he has actually gotten through a majority of this early game with 0 deaths, the most CS in this game. Yes, they lost the tower, but I mean, just taking a look at the minimap down there in the vision right now, I know you actually probably see us. I can still see that pause screen, but there is so much deep vision for Mansfield working against AD carry only in this bot lane. Yet they've still been able to sort of farm successfully, keep themselves safe. And that is a true testament to how well they've been playing this game. So yeah. It's definitely going to be very tough and very challenging, I feel like, for Mansfield to execute this play just based on AD carry only's positioning. But if he makes one mistake in these team fights, it is all over for MacGregor. He has to be perfect. Yeah,
it's all on him to really come through and think about what he's doing and execute these team fights properly, right? He has taken the responsibility saying, pick me Kog'Maw, everyone put your faith in me, and so he has to repay that faith. And obviously MacGregor as a team have been paying this draft over and over again, right? We've got 4 champions they played last time they were out, and you know, generally when you see only one game of a team, we go, you know, this is one strategy they pulled out, but we don't know what else they're playing behind closed doors, right? Well, not even behind closed doors, when they're playing against other schools, we can't have a look at those picks, what they're playing or how we're doing. We really only have OpGG to go off, and we can't really judge too well off that. So we are just waiting to see exactly, you know, these styles, and obviously this is one way they've elected to play. So they have faith in this player as the game is now restarting. But it's all about just how good these players can be.
Absolutely, that will be the big challenge moving forward. As just going to do a quick time check. I'm not pausing, but I just want to say, you know, we're at 1808, 1809, 1810, and we are all Gucci. So, yeah, just making sure. You gotta do it sometimes. Moving forward, though, into this one with the joys of remote broadcasting. Things being set up for a top side play right now for Mansfield. 3 members up there. You've got the bot lane plus the jungle. A later response coming from AD carry only and a Dupe. Doobie is forward, and he's the one who could be in trouble. Does get stunned by LilTaco. As AD carry only, he's already running away using that blast cone to escape, but Doobie is fast enough to run away himself.
Yeah, and YeDieJiuWo was just around there too. This Kindred... Wait, has Kindred not gotten a single scuttle crab all game? He mustn't have. If it's still in the scuttle crab, how many stacks does he have?
He only has 2 stacks.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's a
bit unfortunate for the stacking for YeDieJiuWo. Usually at this stage you'd want about 4 or 5, so not ideal for Kindred, but the testament to MajorDave. He had been doing a lot of invading, kind of stopping a lot of those marks as well. So kind of one of the reasons why we haven't seen too much impact from MajorDave so far in this one. Similarly, same with YeDieJiuWo, has been some of that counter jungle effort. And with that second tower gone, courtesy of the Rift Herald, that is more pressure being put on this MacGregor side to possibly start looking for those team fights or looking for picks just like this. Unstoppable Force will connect onto Kipkangaroo, and he will go down.
And 5 deaths for both top laners. So the top lane is accounting for over 50% of all deaths this game. Interesting statistic. But obviously jungle gap, right? It's never top laner's fault. It's always jungle gap. Every game. As you see both these sides now, that's one of those things you got to always watch out for is, you know, getting caught out doing backing in the wrong place. Good opportunity to pull the trigger there by MacGregor and catch out Kipkangaroo for, you know, making another, you know, somewhat crucial mistake there. But shouldn't matter too much as none objectives are up just yet. The Infernal is going to be what this game is really decided about, you know, and which team can team fight better, because, you know, if Mansfield get this Infernal, they're on sole point, right? They are now saying, right, every single dragon, MacGregor, you have to come and fight us no matter what the map state is. No matter if you've got supers crashing and Nexus towers, you have to come fight us over this Drake, whether, you know, MacGregor are kind of fighting to keep this Drake of his freedom. If they give it up, it's not the end of the world. But it just means that they're pigeonholed to a lot more things, and they are kind of strong enough right now to fight for this Drake. But it looks like Mansfield got the position on it.
Yeah, the thing is, though, Mansfield, I don't think they want to give up this Drake as well, because they are aware that Kog'Maw is a time bomb, and they would like to accelerate this game as fast as possible, force that fight as early as possible. Flash stun actually gets AD carry only. He has to flash out. MajorDave was looking for the Cataclysm, not going to find it, as the rest of Mansfield will back off. Scary situation. Flash burn for AD carry only.
Yeah, and that's a huge cooldown to get. A bit of miscommunication too, as Kipkangaroo went over the back wall there, didn't actually follow up the rest of the team, queued over the wall. So, you know, wasn't there to follow up on the team, and they've moved straight up to the Baron area, starting to get control of this. And this is this Mansfield macro that we saw them so implored for last time out. And, moving on this map, knowing what objectives they have to play for. Obviously, they won't be able to take this objective down for another 5 minutes or so. But moving to this area, set up vision. I'm assuming Kipkangaroo is going to go to the bot lane and start pushing that out. Going to get pressure there. Ori's gonna sit in mid, control that. And you're gonna have Xayah, Taric, Jarvan in this top side. Xayah picking up those CS up in the top lane, and then Jarvan and LilTaco are going to move into the enemy jungle and get control of that red side jungle.
Yeah, and what I will find interesting right now is how actually MacGregor responds in this situation, because their instinct, it feels like so far this entire game, has been to attack no matter the situation. But we're getting at that stage of the game where if they go for something overly aggressive and it does not, they are going to get punished hard, especially, without flash available and AD carry only. Like, he's going to have to play super safe right now, and I really want to see Mansfield on that opposite side abuse it. Either kind of force a situation where MacGregor again attacks into a bad situation, or takes advantage of what should be that pass to maybe force some more situations themselves. Already you can see such a deep warding line around that Baron pit already established by Mansfield as a result of it. And really, they could just bully MacGregor until that flash is available again. So for like another 2 minutes or so, this map should be firmly in Mansfield's control.
Yeah, precisely right. And it's one of those things too where you got to look at the way they're moving around the map and this control they have, obviously aware of that timing. I think both these sides have kind of come into this game kind of judging the other team, right? Like Mansfield have come into this game going, oh, MacGregor's no brain, right? They can lane, but besides that, they don't know how to play the game. They're just mechanically going to be better than us, and we'll just easily outbrain them. And MacGregor, I think, have come into this game going, these guys have just been playing against bad teams. They haven't played against us yet, and they don't know what they're doing mechanically. They have decent macro, but it doesn't matter. We're going to be too good for them. As you see, the styles that they come into these things, especially early on, there's just kind of a bit of arrogance on both sides. And you're really seeing them come down now and actually start to go, oh, wait, we actually have to play properly, both of us, because these guys are actually kind of decent.
Absolutely is the case. Now, Mansfield, though, to their credit, has been slowly pulling this lead further and further in their advantage. And we're starting to see, there we go, there's the advantage of the situation. They're starting to steal those buffs away. They're getting more pressure. Could be forcing fights right now. AD carry only was the man in front right there and has to be careful, because if MajorDave wants to turn things around, he will. Not going to go for it, as Arventus was a little bit too far back. But those are those scary situations that MacGregor cannot find themselves forced into.
Yeah, precisely, right? And now they're really looking towards this dragon. They're going to start pinching him, as you see, always coming through that jungle. And Kog'Maw, with only the Blade of the Rune King completed, obviously walking towards that Ginsu's, but he really needs, a couple of on-hit items. He needs the Rune and Hurricane as well to be, a max effectiveness realistically. So yeah, he's one of those 80 carries that really needs 3 items. And I don't think he's going to get there before this first Baron goes down. I think if Mansfield don't end with first Baron, or around second Baron and around Elder Drake, because I believe they'll get the soul straight away, it's going to be very difficult for them to really fight back in this game. But if they do grab this first Infernal Soul, they'll have that damage in the late game to contest this Cog. And so I think really, for MacGregor, they're in a really tough situation here, and it's very much a Mansfield favored map. Like I'd say maybe 80-20 Mansfield's going to win.
Yeah, it's looking very good for Mansfield at this moment. Granted, though, you have to look at the tools available for both these teams when this next fight does come out. Blade of the Rune King, the only completed item for AD carry only, and I'm further worried that he's not quite ready yet. I want to see a bit more. That Ginsu's, that it looks like he might be building next, hopefully should be finished by then. Won't have the Runon's Hurricane, so it's not really the complete Exodia Kog'Maw just yet. Although I do like seeing the stopwatch on Mabøroshi. That does mean he should be able to dive and buy a bit more time in that situation. However, in response, though, you do have that Xayah's onto Arventus. You have a bit of sustain as well. Another stopwatch right there on LilTaco. So it's definitely both these teams are getting close to sort of those 2-3 item marks. Not quite there yet, which means both teams also still might be hesitant to fight. But these are the tools available. Curious to see how they would work out. I still feel as if Mansfield probably wins this fight if they execute correctly. Kipkangaroo might be forcing the issue with that split push up top as well. But this Dragon Soul, it's going to be big.
I mean, the biggest difference in these mid-game fights is actually AD carry, right? Because Xayah is one of the premier mid-game AD carries. She's an AD carry who thrives in the middle game where the most AD carries don't, right? AD carries are kind of decent early, and then they fall off in the mid-game and they come back strong, like very much like a Caitlyn kind of arc, right? Or they're just better later in the game. Because Xayah has this unique ability which gives her a ridiculous attack speed. As you see them starting up the dragon now. Looks like
Dragon's been started up, and the top tower has fallen. Kipkangaroo, though, no longer really wants to duel. Shockwave connects onto 2. Dubai flashes forward, but the jungler goes in. Dragon secured. That's the soul going to Mansfield as YeDieJiuWo survives with the Lance for Smite, but only for so long because the rest of Mansfield are chasing him down. Mabøroshi is in that backline, did go golden and did find Arventus. However, now has to escape the wrath of an angry LilTaco. Teleporting in was Yisus, but a little bit too late to save the support, and now Yisus on his own 1v3 gets knocked up, gets stunned as well. The chain CC coming into play, but this is a big rock, and rocks are tough to crank. Finally, Kipkangaroo does crack it open and gets the kill. 3 kills and a Dragon Soul to Mansfield.
Yeah, the Infernal Soul, they're doing so much damage in these team fights, that AoE splash, and I think that's kind of just turned this game from an 80-20 to a 95% chance for them to win. They will move straight over to this Baron and start it up, and I think they can. Oh no, they could definitely Baron right now because there's no way they can contest. They got wave to deal with. They can just easy take free Baron. I suppose they really want the control from Orianna.
Yeah, I think they'll do Baron very shortly, though. I mean, they have the vision established around it. There's no reason to be on the bot side of the map. Kipkangaroo did use teleport before, so I don't expect him to push too hard in the bot lane at this stage. And yeah, we're seeing those last backs, those last items purchased, picked up right now. MacGregor did not put themselves in a position to sort of punish the late reset in this one, and even if they had, there was enough vision around the Baron that I'm pretty sure Mansfield would be able to respond. So Mansfield able to take a little bit of time before setting this up, but I do imagine we're going to start to see heavy Baron pressure coming from this blue side.
Yeah, I mean, especially in that last fight, they could have played it, obviously, I mean, they wiped, right? So they played the fight well, but BlazingSpirit chased super hard after Kog and AD carry only and really wanted to take him down. Whether if she just turned around and actually focus onto Mabøroshi in the bot side, they would have had all 5 members up and could have seamlessly transitioned straight into Baron. But obviously, that's not a fatal mistake. That's not going to cost them the game, but it's just a little bit of cleanliness because I like to be very critical of the side that's playing.
Oh, but this could be a mistake from Dubai getting caught by MajorDave. He's already gone, and now we have that number advantage that Mansfield loves to play with. They're going to go ahead and rotate back to the Baron pit right now. MajorDave zoning out Mabøroshi from looking for that re-engage, and now I imagine we're going to see this Baron start upon, or perhaps even a Death Bush type of play to try and bait something and get more kills off of this. Kipkangaroo content to keep pushing in that bot lane, and the Baron was started AD carry only with the living artillery. Actually can be able to track this Baron quite well, and YeDieJiuWo has the Lamb's Respite, so we could see some very interesting Baron shenanigans in this one. MajorDave actually going straight for AD carry only, and here comes the ultimate as well. Dave survives long enough to go invulnerable and forces out a very early Lamb's Respite, but MajorDave is that jungler. He's quite low. He has to bail out. Baron doing a lot of damage. Unstoppable force hits to LilTaco and Arventus, caught by the Malphite, but the rest of the team is able to escape, and Yisus will go down with an assist coming from Mr. Nasher. Mabøroshi looking for the deep 5, but cannot get there in time. A double kill for Arventus, and the rest of Mansfield want more. The damage from BlazingSpirit's insane, and AD carry only gets obliterated. YeDieJiuWo does get one back, but as this is happening, Kipkangaroo, he's taking inhibitors, he's putting pressure on the base. This might actually be the game.
Yeah, this game, they just end now. They can't contest. But what I was going to say is, with this comp, right, they actually have a strong enough team fight with just the 4 members to 4v5. Ori, Taric, J4, and Xayah are actually a strong enough mid-game 4-man that they just literally cannot contest, and they're just going to walk through and take out this game while the MajorDave is split pushing, because on the side of MacGregor, they needed all 5 to actually team fight, and this has been a 30-minute rapid victory, very reminiscent of C9. Infernal Soul grabbed already, 10k advantage, and that is the game going to MacGregor. Not MacGregor, Mansfield.
And wow, but yeah, it's not MacGregor, it is Mansfield sitting atop the ladder here at the Queensland League of Legends Championship Series. They will be the last undefeated team in our Premier Division. They have weathered the storm, won 6 in a row, and they have established themselves as the team to beat moving forward. And as you mentioned, it wasn't the prettiest game. It wasn't the cleanest game. Kipkangaroo, he had a bit of bloodlust in his eyes on that Fiora. However, at the end of the day, they do get it done. A great game once they started to really get that control. And then, like all great teams, they knew how to close with their lead. So a big GG and congrats to Mansfield for coming out with the win today.
Yeah, and it was a very clean. They led from start to finish. Right, that classic mid-game team to end around the 30 minutes. I think if MacGregor were to win, they'd look for that 35-40 minute win. But very much, it's still a very competitive game. Although it was very one-sided and Mansfield kind of dominated, it wasn't like MacGregor weren't in the game at all. MacGregor was still quite decent. I think if they could maybe fine tune their drafting and maybe pick some more useful champions and play it a different way, there's definitely a chance for them to actually contest and beat the better side on another day. So I think I'd love to see these guys in a best of 3 or best of 5 scenario, depending how deep. Because obviously both these teams are going to go quite deep in our playoffs. Don't know if they'll go. Both will go all the way because it's depends on what side of the bracket they get matched on, etc. But this could be a very interesting match that I think these two schools will continually butt heads throughout the rest of this.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be the last time we see these two schools go at each other for sure. We're definitely going to be seeing them, I feel, come playoff time, making those deep runs. Each of them should have secured their spot, honestly, by getting to this stage, being 5 wins, 0 losses. That means at worst they'll finish 5-3 at the end of the season. Well, now for Mansfield, it will be 6-2. So pretty much they're each guaranteed to be finishing that upper half and making that top 16. The question will then become, how deep of a run can they make in the playoffs? Obviously, super strong teams, but Mansfield, they are that number 1 team right now. And scratching my head because I'm a little bit curious to see how this will all play out when we move forward. There's only 2 more weeks left of, round robin / swish play, whatever you'd like to call it.
Yeah, exactly right. We're kind of getting towards the end of it now, and getting towards the end of the season when we start seeing what teams are actually going to be in our playoffs and which team aren't. Obviously, both these sides are 100% going to be in our playoffs. But yeah, very interesting. Format is also, most of the games have been concluded by now too, and so we'll have to see. And I'm very excited to bring up next week because there are still teams that are only 1 or 2 losses right at the top that we still haven't got a chance to see, and those are teams that could very well contest these 2 teams in the best of 5.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be exciting to see sort of where all these teams even match up against those ones. Who will be that next team to rise up and necessarily challenge the top of the ladder? But for now, I think it's time we name ourselves an MVP. And this is a tough one for me because I feel a lot of players did good but not great on Mansfield, and I mean that is typical for how they tend to win. But I'm actually leaning towards Arventus. I think a lot of those shockwaves, which sort of saved him from getting killed early by Mabøroshi, really kept the Orianna in it and stopped this Akali from snowballing. If that had happened, we could have seen a completely different game. So I'm actually leading to the Orianna in this one.
See, out of all the players, I think probably LilTaco was the MVP. I mean, obviously my MVP for Mansfield is Shotcaller, but we don't know who that is, right?
Yeah.
But I would probably have to say, it's probably LilTaco on the Taric. I think he had the best game. MajorDave was a bit quiet in the early game, which is the reason why I wouldn't give it to him. And I think Kipkangaroo and Arventus both had errors in lane, which kind of, you're probably not the most valuable player if you're not playing. When I look for MVP, I think who played the most flawless game from start to finish, right? Recency bias, you go, Arventus was great in those late game team fights. And BlazingSpirit too is worth a shout. I think he's probably the shot caller of the team when I look at the way the map's played too, because if you look at bot side throughout the game, it's the one filled with vision, and so you think that's the more cerebral play, where the top lane was like Kipkangaroo just running each other and hitting themselves. And because he's the highest ranked player as well, I think he's probably a shot caller. I don't know that for sure, but just from a bit of deductive.
You know who our MVP should be?
Who?
Andy Murray, teacher, getting this team together. We're going to give him our MVP. So congrats to Andy Murray. And one more thank you for joining us in our pregame. I think he will win our MVP award. But on that note, it is time to wrap things up now. We only have 2 more weeks left of this Swiss play before we hit our tiebreakers, before we hit our playoffs, and the season starts to wind down. Once more, I'd like to shout a big thank you to our sponsor in all of this, Lenovo. Without them, would not be possible. They're providing a lot of help behind the scenes to keep this event up and running. So a huge thank you. Go ahead and check them out. They believe in high school esports just as much as we do, and that is why a big heartfelt thank you to them. Thank you to all the players, all of the teams, all the schools, everyone in the Twitch chat spamming that Pog champ. Yeah, I see you. You're on my second monitor, so I can't look at the camera, but yeah, I see you. It's kind of like they're like that. Mitch, thank you again for joining me, and until next week, catch you then.
Good night.